Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Prime Time with Alex Stein. And tonight is debate night. And I don't want to wait. I don't want to hesitate. I want to bring these guys on right now. We have the one, the only, the challenger. And you might ask, what are we going to debate tonight? Well, Alex, I'm speaking to myself. There's this guy, Wes Huff, and he went on Joe Rogan. Now all these people are arguing about theological issues. This is the hottest topic on the internet. That is right. Christianity is now the number one cool religion to debate about, and that's why I brought on the one, the only Christian whistleblower himself, friend of the show, the one, the only, Jeff Daugherty. Jeff, how are you doing this evening?
Alex, I'm doing fantastic. It's an honor and a privilege to be here with you. You are definitely the pimp on the blimp. You're the man, and I love you for bringing me on here. We've been friends a long time, and I could go on, but love you, bro, and thanks for the shot.
Well, you got your hands full tonight with arguably the number one debater in the game. The guy started off years ago grinding. He started just grinding. He started debating anybody. Blood sports debate. This guy was the man that did it. And through hard work and constant streaming, he's on the internet all the time, going after TikTokers, going after whoever he can. One of the most fearless debaters, a guy that's taken down Destiny, and Destiny's scared to debate. The one, the only, Andrew Wilson. Andrew, how are you doing, my friend?
It's a hell of an intro, Alex. I really appreciate that. You've always have been a good showman, though. A lot of flourish, Alex. Everywhere you go, you're very skilled at that. Thank you for having me on. The Primetime 99 himself. It's been a while since I've come on and talked with you. First time doing a debate on your channel. Thank you very much for having me.
Well, thank you for streaming it on your channel. Like I said, you know, I'm giving you your flowers. Is that the saying now? Because you have worked hard. You know, you are not just from the whatever, you know, I think that helped you, but I think it's because you're actually doing these debates on your own, you know, because I saw you before. But listen, we're not here to kiss your butt. I'm just saying you put in the hard work that deserves to be spotlighted, in my opinion. And Jeff puts in the hard work. Jeff deserves some spotlight. You guys are both probably going to get into the weeds tonight. Jeff's an intense guy. Andrew's pretty intense guy. So listen, guys, obviously we're not going to try to probably convince each other. It's more about the audience. So let's probably put on a good show while still being respectful, and we can still attack each other a little bit. I mean, come on, let's not make this thing a boring, you know, fest, but let's just keep it cool, respectful. And with that, the debate format is we're going to start with a 15-minute opening. So Jeff's going to go first because he's the challenger, and he's going to get 7 minutes roughly. And then after that, we're going to have 45 minutes of just kind of a structured argument. And then we're going to end with 30 minutes questions from the audience. If you want a question, send a super chat. That is how we kind of know which questions are the most important, or, you know, I mean, let's just be real. If you pay a lot of money, your chat's going to be read. All right. Now, are
Alex,
you ready,
can I ask
Jeff?
one quick question before we get started?
Yes, sir. Oh, any questions? Yeah, I meant to ask that. Do we have any questions? Any guidelines we want to set before we start?
I just wonder where in the hell your crack staff found my high school graduation photo to use for the thumbnail.
Probably Jimmy, my producer. And you know, it's funny because Jimmy's a great guy. I love Jimmy. Him and I've argued about, you know, sometimes the picture that we choose, because sometimes he doesn't pick the most flattering. But I don't know if he picked that picture, but I do give him strict instructions to find the most flattering picture. When I saw that, I noticed it wasn't. I mean, I should almost pull that picture up, but don't worry about that picture. You are right.
I'm just an old guy now, you know, just happy to be here. So that was back in my running days.
I know. Well, you looked cool. Okay. With all that being said, you're going to start off. You have 7 minutes, and I'll start the timer as soon. And guys, the topic tonight is Christianity true? I know that's kind of vague, but I think if it gets too in the weeds or we get too off topic, I'll just try to keep it on the rails. Is that cool with you guys?
So you want me to just roll out my beliefs, my position?
However you feel. Yeah, I mean, you can. I mean, that's what I'm
just
saying.
roll
kind of vague. Yeah,
and then
I'll
we'll
just try to kind of
questions after the opening, right?
Yeah, I mean, you have a lot of latitude. I'll just try to kind of dial it in once we start arguing, or, you know, when things get, you know, confusing, or, you know, we know how to do this. You've done debates. I've done debates. Andrew, like I said, he's taking Destiny's crown. Destiny's scared of Andrew Wilson. All right, let's start. The floor is yours.
I'm first, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Obviously, thanks for being here, and Andrew, thanks for showing up too. And you know, the debate is Christianity true? And I think really the first thing that we have to define and we'll get to this, I'm sure, when we start talking to each other, is what do we actually mean by Christianity? Because we could be saying Christianity, that's a term that means a lot of things to a lot of people. So I hope we can actually narrow down on what Andrew would define Christianity as. So we'll kind of start from there. And then I think once we can define what Christianity is, the second question on my mind is Jesus real, and is he objectively, empirically true and proven and able to be proven true outside of the Bible? I feel like we should be able to have empirical, extra biblical, non-Christian evidence for the relation or for the existence of Jesus, because extraordinary claims do require extraordinary evidence. And I hope that we can find a common source of truth. Now, again, this will go back to what is Christianity, but to me, the common source of truth I hope we could find would be the Bible script itself, the Bible record. And if we could, go to 2 Peter 1:20, kind of a thought that none of the scripture is open to any private interpretation. But a lot of people are running from that now because they don't really want to talk about the Bible, because their traditions, even though they call them Christianity, don't really line up. So I think that's a little bit of thing that's going on now, and hope that we can correct that. And things that I was a Christian for a long time. Why did I leave? Well, I found straight from the Bible itself that, the God of the Bible accepted a human child sacrifice back in Genesis chapter 4. And I believe that this scripture shows that he destroyed earth in what was basically a temper tantrum, because humans were choosing the way of heathenry over him. And in Genesis 6, they made up this whole story about angels having sex with women. And that's just an attempt, or a cope, if you will, to cover up the fact that the Bible God wanted to destroy the whole world just because people were rejecting him. Whether the story is true or not, that really doesn't matter there. So this sons of God thing was made up. I found in Psalm 82 that even though the Bible says there's one God, there's really a lot of gods. I think the Jesus birth, I've talked about this on Coast to Coast AM, that it was a rape of Mary, who was maybe 10, 11, 12 years old at the most. The Bible tells us there's only one sign that would prove that Jesus was real, and that was the sign of Jonah, which had to be 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the earth. I believe he failed that if we just believe in the scripture. Another thing is the sword in the family. Jesus is supposed to be all about, the traditional family is supposed to be the biggest thing, but he said that I haven't come to bring peace but a sword. I want to divide husbands from wives, fathers from sons, mothers from daughters. He also said that I'm the Prince of Peace, but Revelation 19 says that he's coming back with a sword to kill everybody that's not Jewish. So that's very interesting. I think if you look at the book of Acts and other places, Christianity is indistinguishable from communism in the book of Acts and in the Sermon on the Mount. I think we had some interesting things happen at Gethsemane, where Jesus was found in the company of a naked boy. I believe that Jesus is proven in the Bible over 33 times to be both a rabbi and a Pharisee. This den of vipers, this money changers thing that the Christian nationalists are all about, was really just a red versus blue thing, Protestant versus Catholic thing. And I think this whole idea of a Christian nation is a complete total myth. This nation was not founded as a Christian nation. I think that's provable. And the nationalists and the identityists are talking about taking over the 7 mountains of society. Well, those have already been conquered by the parent of Judaism. So I don't understand what the big deal is, unless they're trying to cover that up. And as I go by the Christian whistleblower or the happy heathen, I think it needs to be said that heathens are not atheists. Just because we don't believe in your God doesn't mean we don't believe in God. And our gods are too big for any one book. And we won't surrender to really, and this is a little bit dicey, but we will not surrender to what really at the end of the day are a bunch of necrophiliac, cannibalistic vampires. And with that, that's all I got. I'm ready to roll. I mean, you guys are big time. You get
for your opening before you close it off. Can you expand? Just take 2 minutes real quick and expand.
You got 2 minutes left, exactly.
Yeah, can you just take 2 minutes and expand for me very quickly in your opening about Atlantis a little bit and the origins from Atlantis, just so I have that in my head as well.
I don't really understand. why you would want me to do that. It's not the point of the debate, and I'm not really prepared to talk about that.
Well, I'm just,
Wait, why? I don't know.
Because I want to know how Arianism ties into Christianity exactly. That's all.
I don't think it does at all. I think they are they're antithesis. I think probably we're going to come down to a battle. I don't think it has to be a kinetic battle, because I think if all of us heathens get together, I would define Arians as white heathens, heathen being somebody that doesn't worship the Bible God. And, I'm not about white supremacy. I'm a white guy, so I want to optimize my race. But if the white heathens, the black heathens, the brown heathens, the red heathens, and the yellow heathens get together.
Let's leave them out of it for YouTube purposes. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
And if we can get together and march against the people that want to put us under their fear and guilt, blood magic, Judeo-Christian control matrix, I don't think there'll be a fight, because outside of Andrew, all I run into is cowards. No one else will debate me. So I think they'll probably retreat. I think that might have answered your question, Andrew.
Okay.
Did it, Andrew?
I was just wondering if he could tie it in.
Well, we can get into that. We can talk about that more. And Andrew, let me restart the clock. I'll put 7 minutes on the clock, and you're good to go.
Yeah, so I spent a long time. I do this with every debate opponent, researching Mr. Daugherty's claims, everything from Atlantis to Hyperborea to all of the incredible claim. We talk about people who say for incredible claims, it requires incredible evidence. It's pretty amazing how light he is on the evidence for his claims. But here, let me dive into my opening. The story of Christianity needs to be told correctly. And in order to do this, we really have to understand its past, present, and future. Christian roots start in the cosmos themselves, in the star system of Alpha Draconis, Andromeda, and the Zeta Reticuli systems. These star systems originally held species, which were allies, when they discovered symptech and faster-than-light speeds. They formed what is referred to as the Galactic Federation of Light, named after light speed. The Alpha Draconians were the first to discover Earth, and they made a hybrid species out of primitives who were here to do work for them. The head of the Alpha Draconians was known only as the Demiurge, and this being enslaved all of the hybrids in what was called Hyboria in the nation of Atlantis. After an uprising assisted by the Andromedans, the people of Atlantis freed themselves from the Demiurge. But what had happened in reality was the Andromedans wanted to have sex with hybrid women known as humans, so they backed the humans in their rebellion. The Book of Enoch speaks of this and the offspring of these people known as the Nephilim. Now, the Andromedans, known only as fallen angels to the hybrid human race, taught to them technologies, including a lost branch of philosophy, which included symbology and the ability of sympnosis, or the idea of matriarchy above all else. The Atlanteans were split in this philosophy of symbology, with many symbologists backing the Demiurge and in a move towards egalitarianism, while the competing philosophy of patrology sought to destroy them. A war was fought. A great cataclysm happened due to the unearthing of neutrino bombs, which swallowed Atlantis and destroyed Hyperborea. The bloodlines of the Aryans, which still currently exist in Iran, the Middle East, became retained in the philosophy of symbology, while later Saxon and pagans retained patrology. The reason Christian consciousness or Christ consciousness is so rooted in the Saxon Anglo bloodlines is because it is resistant to egalitarian nature of the Demiurge, with even the Old Testament in Genesis warning about the corrupted nature of the female hybrids, explaining women will want to not obey their husbands, but must. The symbologists retained the commandment of the Demiurge and maintain that matriarchy or egalitarianism is the way and that patrology needs to be wiped out. Christians have secretly known this for 2,000 years, which is why the Apostle Paul said women need to shut up in church, and why Peter said the same thing, that women need to submit. Jeff here is part of the sympnosis being of thought. He is a gatekeeper attempting to destroy all patrologists who bring good news of patriarchy, and he says it's subversive. Christians, since the beginning, have fought against his kind and the true Demiurge, which he serves, while he claims we serve the Demiurge. He does this because he mixes up his meanings and understanding of the Star Fathers, who seeded this information into human DNA in our very blood. The Star Fathers still give us revelation to this day about the Demiurge and those like Jeff and the rest of the symbologists who want to subvert the natural order for higher thinking and egalitarianism. I'm happy now to get in the rest of what the Star Fathers, Hyperborea, Atlantis, and the rest of the deep-rooted lore which informs Christianity at its root. Jeff asked, what does Christianity mean? And I'm happy to get into that with him. Is Jesus real objectively? I don't even know what he means by that. Every scholar agrees that Jesus Christ existed. God accepted human sacrifice? Nope, not true either. He destroyed Earth in a temper tantrum? Also not true. Psalms 82 does not say there's lots of gods. Jesus at his birth by some rape of Mary. Totally absurd. No evidence for this whatsoever. Christianity is communism. This is a really old talking point by anti-Christians. Jesus in the company of a naked boy. So what? Means nothing. Jesus was not a Pharisee. There's no evidence he was a Pharisee. Jeff says, appeal to common sense. Appeal to common sense. He was a Pharisee. Nowhere is it says that Jesus Christ was a Pharisee. He was really mean to Pharisees. Really didn't like Pharisees very much. He says the nation wasn't founded Christian. Not true. There was tens of thousands of contributors to the Constitution of the United States. Very few at the top were deists. Okay, all the contributors were a mixture of three different Protestant sects. He says we won't surrender. Who is we? Who won't you surrender to, Jeff? Is it the Jews, Jeff? You don't want to surrender to the Jew. Isn't that what it really is, right? So as I went through my entire story here and explained it to you, right, front to back with the Demiurge, Atlantis, all of this rooted, I would like you to disprove any of my claims because they fall right in line with your claims, right, of your tale of the origin story. And I'm happy to refute any of the things that you have a problem with when it comes to Christianity. With that, I'll yield the rest of my time.
Well, that was good. You guys both spent 5 minutes. Now, we have a lot to discuss, and I think one of the most important ones, and I'm sure Jeff wants to get at this, but I think Jesus, this just went viral on the Joe Rogan show, Jesus being objectively real. Now, I think I would agree with Andrew that there's obviously other religions. They say that he did exist, but that is he the son of God? Is that the argument? So you're saying, Jeff, I guess I kind of want to elaborate on that for a couple of minutes, that you think he's objectively did not exist. Andrew, what do you have to, I guess, prove, that Jesus existed? I think that's...
I have scholarly consensus, and Jeff does not. In fact, one of the scholars that Jeff notably references quite a bit also claims that Jesus himself, it's actually foolish to believe that the person who was Jesus Christ did not exist. I mean, that's mainstream scholars agree on this. And so there's more scholarly evidence and agreement of Jesus of Nazareth than there is for Socrates. We have more evidence for that than we do for Socrates, who has no written works at all. Where's any of Socrates' written works, Jeff? Where are they?
Well, I'm not talking about Socrates. I'm talking about Jesus Christ. And I was a minister for 20 years full time. I'm a Bible college graduate. I have over 100,000 hours of study in the biblical text. So I take everything back to the biblical text. And my question, no matter how you are trying to spin it, Andrew, is simply this. If Jesus was real, we should be able to have a extra biblical, non-Christian verification of Jesus. Would you give me one specific?
Yeah, it's called the Shroud of Turin. It's a non-biblical material consideration which is unexplainable via scientific method of any type whatsoever. The imagery which is in the Shroud of Turin from the image of Christ, it is non-replicable by any scientific methodology to date. It was impossible for the time. You cannot prove any way scientifically that this could ever have been made in the time of which it came into mainstream discovery in France. You can't do it. It's impossible. That is an extra biblical material piece of evidence, Jeff.
Are you trolling me right now, or are you serious?
I'm serious.
Well, I didn't know that you would go this way, but with any amount of study, you can find reams of scholars that will testify that the Shroud of Turin could not possibly be the burial shroud of the Jesus character, because
based on what?
Based on time. The time, it's way, way too old to be the Shroud of Turin. I think the best evidence shows that shroud is actually...
Wait, real quick, Jeff, you say it's actually... Wait, I thought the argument more was that it's not old enough. So you're saying the Shroud of Turin is too old?
No, I misspoke, if that's what I said. I'm a little nervous.
No worries. You just said that. You just said that, and I thought the argument is that it's much younger. You said it's older. I was like, that doesn't sound right.
It's much younger, and I've actually done a lot of study on that, and in my conclusion would be that the best explanation of the Shroud of Turin is that it's actually the burial shroud of Jacques de Molay. The timing's right, the dating is right, and if you look at that picture, if you look at the representation that's on that shroud, and you look at the representations we have of Jacques de Molay, man, it's like a mirror image. So
Oh, wow, that's great. That's some great speculation, right? Just
No,
like
it's not speculation.
if we look at the Atlantis and the starships, we can also correlate something to Arianism as well, Jeff. But the thing
You're
is
the only one that
ultimately,
mentioned starships.
well, this is your belief. It's your belief structure, Jeff. I'm
No,
sorry.
you're telling me what my belief structure is?
Yeah, I asked you to elaborate on it, and you won't because you know you're embarrassed by it, Jeff.
No,
so the
that's
thing
not
is,
true,
so the thing is, but the
not
thing
you can say it's my belief structure. It's not.
Yeah, I mean it is. But anyway, so when it comes to the Shroud of Turin,
why don't you ask me what my
okay, did Atlantis exist, Jeff? Did Atlantis exist, Jeff?
Yes, I think so.
You think so? And that's based on your expert opinion, right? Because you're an expert scholar.
Real quick. No. When you say Atlantis, I just want to clarify this. Are you talking about a civilization that existed before the flood? Because I mean, you know,
yes, this would be pre-cataclysm. Pre-cataclysm.
Yeah, obviously. So, do you agree? Can we agree though, Jeff? Do you think there was a great flood at some point and that everything was flooded out?
Yeah, I think there's objective, empirical, anthropological and geological evidence.
Now, why would I bring this up? I bring this up.
He asked me a question. Why don't you hush for a minute?
Why don't you shut up, Jeff, while I'm talking?
Let's be cool. Let's be cool. Let's be cool.
Jeff. Stop frigging, Jeff.
You over
now, I'm just trying to explain because he asked me a question first. He asked what does this have to do with it? I'm trying to explain it. Trying to explain what it has to do with it. So just so you know,
tell you what I believe, and he wants to answer my question.
Let's hear Andrew.
Anyway,
Jeff. Everybody's gonna get a chance.
The reason I bring this up is because Jeff says, the reason that I bring this up at all is because Jeff claims that he's a scholar. Jeff claims that he's a scholar and that he's sourcing his hundreds of thousands of hours in biblical evidence, which you don't even believe he has, but what he claims he's sourcing as 100,000 plus hours from his scholarly position. I need you to understand that scholars also often discredit themselves. They discredit themselves by giving you discoveries that aren't actually discoveries, that are based in nonsense. And so that way we can test their methodology. In this case, I think that Jeff, who's making these incredible claims, like, I think the Shroud of Turin comes from blah, blah. So what? What makes you the expert, Mr. Guy who?
A lot of people make that claim. To be fair.
Okay, well let's find out. Let's find out where the expertise. Well,
let's see, Jeff. So the flood and
what did you ask me before Andrew cut me off?
Well, I was kind of wondering what is, I guess, in your mind, that was a lot of writing, but, is that what you consider Atlantis, the civilization before the flood? I guess, what is, if you think that there's an Atlantis, let's just kind of, what is your general idea of what it was?
Yeah, even though Andrew says this is my doctrine, I have no idea what he's talking about. I do believe there was an Atlantis, and I do believe that there was a great flood. Now, can we empirically prove it? Probably not. But yeah, I do believe there was a great flood, and I do believe Atlantis did exist.
And this is why this is important for us to bring up. I need to understand what your methodologies are for coming to the conclusion that Atlantis ever existed. The only reference found is from one source, as far as I'm aware, which is Plato, who was also talking in a broad, sweeping sense about republics and all sorts of things in the abstract. So I would actually like to know what Jeff Daugherty's methodologies are for this. As the scholar, Jeff Daugherty, that's very important, I think.
This is actually a big red herring, because we're supposed to be talking about Christianity. He wants to talk about Atlantis.
That is true.
I just want to talk. I'm talking about credibility.
Jeff is being true, though.
I'm talking about credibility. So first of all, if you claim that you're a scholar, hang on, stop. If you claim that you're a scholar, if you claim you're a scholar and that you have methodologies which would lead you to believe that Atlantis existed, Atlantis, the mythological city and the mythological cities of Hyperborea, the mythological northern literal legend of Hyperborea actually existed in reality, in objective reality. I want to understand the methodologies that you're using to come to these conclusions, and then I'm going to apply those same methodologies to make sure that you're applying it consistently to these claims as well.
As I said to Alex, we can't empirically prove that Atlantis existed. You're on a red herring here. You've already said that you're telling me what my beliefs are. Those aren't my beliefs.
So I just believe it.
I didn't call myself a scholar. All I'm saying is that I believe in the text, the whole text, and nothing but the text. And the reason why I'm so big on the text, I think the greatest way to get somebody to free themselves from Christianity is simple. Get them to read the Bible. I thought we were here to talk about Christianity, and we've been arguing for 20 minutes about Atlantis.
Do you agree that a key tenet?
That is true.
Yeah.
That is
So I'll
true.
respond. Do you agree that a key tenet of Christianity is faith and belief? That's a key tenet.
I would
Absolutely.
agree with that.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. But you say, I believe in Atlantis, right? It's a belief.
No, I didn't say I believe in Atlantis.
You literally just said that to
I
Alex
said
Stein
it's
live.
possible that there is Atlantis, but we can't prove it empirically.
So you don't
Okay,
believe
enough
it.
about Atlantis. Enough about
Exactly.
Atlantis. All right.
Thank you.
All right,
Well, actually,
now
what we're talking about is belief. We're talking about what makes
you're
belief,
right. Faith,
what
faith,
makes
but
belief,
Andrew,
what makes belief
Well,
foundational, and what makes the epistemic claim correct. That's what we're actually talking about. The reason that this is important is because what Jeff is doing is he's applying a form of epistemology here. Okay, how we know things, how it is that we can make determinations about things. He made a claim here, right? Listen, it's a key point. Empirically, we can't say X, right? So this means that Jeff is going off, and his methodologies are utilizing empiricism, which is its own brand of both philosophy, and it can be used as a form of scientific methodology. It's important that we understand and establish the methodologies that Jeff is using when we're comparing his claims to that of notable scholars who've been studying this issue for thousands of years. So when I ask about these questions, they're pertinent, they're key, and I want to know the epistemic foundations that Jeff has in which we can make knowledge claims at all. How do we determine what is knowledge, Jeff?
When I say empirical, I'm not talking about I know you have a $500 debate course and you're the blood sport debater. But when I say empirical, it's easier, Andrew, just to ask me what I mean than to go off on these things and tell me what I mean. When I say empirical, I mean not opinion based, that there's some facts for it, some objective. I use the word empirical. I think that's correct in the English language. I don't see any objective empirical facts where I can point and say, oh, yes, Atlantis was real. But we're talking about Christianity. And since you're talking about faith, let me ask you, is faith that Jesus Christ died on the cross for your sins and rose again the third day, is that sufficient enough to make you a Christian in your mind, since we're talking about faith?
No.
No?
So
No.
you're faith and works guy, Andrew?
Yeah, so I'm an Eastern Orthodox, right? We have I think you're talking about perhaps penal substitution atonement.
What I'm talking about is
very
when
heavily
you say Christianity, the people that hear you,
Christianity is not a
something
mind
else.
state. But listen, I need you to understand that the distinction between how we view Christianity, and I don't speak for the church, okay? Yeah, and if anybody in the church wants to correct this, or somebody who's higher up, which is everybody, they're welcome to. I can just give you my understanding. So the understanding is Christianity itself is not just a state of mind. It's not just a state of, I believe in Christ, so therefore all things good. It's a process towards what's called theosis, the idea of participating in the energies of God. That is theosis. That is what the root of Christianity is about from our worldview, not about, I just believe that Jesus Christ died for our sins, and so now everybody's happy and happy as can be. I think that it does require more than that there is more to it than that. Yes. Okay.
So just to make sure I'm understanding you, if someone, according to Romans chapter 10, verses 9 and 10, confesses with their mouth that Jesus is Lord, believes in their heart that God raised him from the dead, Romans 9 and 10 says they will be saved. But if I understand you correctly, Andrew Wilson says, no, that's not true.
Well, you can't unfortunately for you, what you're doing is you're cherry picking. So the Bible's holistic and self-referencing. So anytime you point out anything, literally anything, I guarantee you that I'll be able to pull scripture which agrees with me. Jesus also built a church, and he came to leave us a church, and he's very specific. In fact, all of the things which you're referencing in the New Testament are letters to Christ's church. That's what all the apostles, that's what they were. That's what Matthew was, and Mark and Luke, and all of it was all letters to the church. And what they were trying to convey is how the church has to conduct itself. The belief in Jesus Christ has a guiding principle and Christian ethics behind it. And more, it has theosis behind it. It's not just a matter of a mind state. It's much more complex than that.
So can you give me
real quick, Jeff, because we're talking about this now. We're talking about the Bible. Let's actually get on the Bible. Let's talk about Constantine's influence on Christianity. I'd like you to actually elaborate on that, Jeff, and then you can rebut that, Andrew.
Okay, I think we really need to get back to that because that's very, very important. I would like to know the Bible texts that refute Romans 10:9 and 10. But,
We can get into that,
It's
but
not
we can get
it's not a refutation. What I'm saying is that you're missing on the key points of synergy. Like you do this with Paul too. You say, well, Paul, you said this to a girl in a 2016 interview. You were like, Paul was basically telling women to go make him a sandwich, right? Like, shut up and go make it. Okay, well then so was Peter, because Peter affirms everything Paul said about submission to your husband. So the thing is like Paul did not come and change the continuity of the Bible. Peter reinforces exactly what Paul is saying. So like but you just omit that. And
no,
so
I agree with you 100%.
what I'm saying to you, well, you didn't agree then. So what I'm saying to you, yeah, you do now. So what I'm saying to you is that
maybe if you ask the question,
these referent points that you have, you're missing out on these keys, which is if you can point to Romans and say, here's what I think it means. But absent
it's not what I think it means. That's what the text says.
Absent the rest of what the teachings of Jesus Christ and the apostles were, you don't get a clear picture. That's not how it works, man. First of all, the Bible's a liturgical book. It's not even made for the layman. It's good for the layman to read it. Really? Yeah, it's good for the layman to read it.
Why does your church say they shouldn't read it without the commentaries of your?
They don't.
They do.
They don't. They tell you to read your Bible all the time. In fact, the Eastern Orthodox Church, you do more Bible reading than you do inside of a Protestant church. Ask me how I know that, Jeff? They tell you to read it all the time. They explain to you all the time. And the reason that they do say, look at footnotes from like the Eastern Orthodox Study Bible, things like this, or talk to priests, is because they can give you something very valuable, which you're not giving people: context, contextualization, the understanding of apostolic succession, how these things have been divinated out over 2,000 years. This is a complex, very complex formula. It's not like just as easy as I have a mind state, therefore saved.
Well, you have a right to your beliefs. You have a right to your opinions. But I don't care if people are Christian or not. I do care, but I'm not here to try to change anybody's faith. That's their right. But I think they deserve to have all the information. And when you say that Romans 10:9 and 10, if you follow Romans 10:9 and 10, and it doesn't give you salvation, I think that will surprise a lot of people. And I think that the burden is on you to find a text from the Bible to prove that. And then you go back to women. I'm in complete agreement with you. The Bible is horribly misogynistic. Paul was misogynistic. Peter was misogynistic, 100%. And I don't understand why ladies that read that will still go in and give their money. I was an evangelist for 20 years. I traveled church to church to church. And every single church I was in, at least 60-70% women, at least 67-70% women giving the money. And why do you ladies stay in the church when they think this way about you?
Okay.
Well, this is Romans 10:9-10. It says, if you declare with your mouth Jesus is Lord. Yeah, and here's all the Bible texts about works. You can find it in Proverbs 3:27, Ecclesiastes 9:10, Ecclesiastes 12:14, Matthew 5:14, 6-16. Are there contradictions in the Bible?
Hang on. Is it my turn? Yeah. Matthew, I didn't interrupt you. I let you go through your whole spiel.
About turns.
Matthew 25:40, 2 Corinthians, Galatians 6:9-10, Ephesians 2:10. The list goes on and on and on, where it's discussing how your works do affect your salvation. Now, this also makes logical sense, because how could you affirm faith absent works? You can't even do it. It makes no sense. When you talk about in Protestantism, you say, well, there's a lot of women in Protestant. That's true. In fact, it's like a 60-40 split. So 60% of Protestant churches are filled with women to 40% men. Same thing with Roman Catholicism. Not the case with Eastern Orthodoxy. Not the case. It's reverse. It's the one church that is reverse, right? It allows you to retain masculinity inside the church. I agree with you that feminists have subverted Protestant church. It was not always this way. This is a recent development. Feminists have subverted. They even wrote the Women's Bible, where they tried to take the miracles away from any of the good works of men away from the men. The feminist Bible is a real thing. You can look it up. I'm not kidding about this. Just so that you understand, these are not. You're looking at this through the fallacy of modernism. It's literally
now
a fallacious. No. This I'm giving you a logical fallacy. It's the fallacy of modernism. So when you say, I don't know how women can look at this and not think of these people as a bunch of evil misogynists, this and that. But what was in there that was misogynistic? That wives need to submit to their husbands, but that they were taken care of. literally by their husbands in exchange for that submission, that you shouldn't just arbitrarily get a divorce, Jeff? Do you think that's worked out well for society when you got 55% of people divorcing, where just 60 years ago, we didn't have that? This is what I'm saying, man. It's like, it makes no sense.
You're asking a lot of questions and I don't get a chance.
But real quick, I want to clarify, Jeff, you probably do think women should submit to their husbands though, right, Jeff? Or you don't think that?
No, I don't think that. I think it should be an equal partnership. And the point you asked, what is it in the Bible that's bad? Well, when you say that a woman should shut her damn mouth in church and that it's wrong for a woman to have authority over a man, and you also say in the Bible that if women don't cover their heads, they're going to be raped by angels. When you are saying these things, you're being terribly abusive of women. And I ask the question, why do ladies put up with that when they don't have to?
Because unlike you, Jeff, some people can apply logic. And the thing is that there's nothing illogical about telling women to cover up in church so that people can focus on what is going on at church rather than focusing on their bodies or having to deal with lustful feelings, this type of thing. Which
so it's the ladies' fault.
You can pretend. No, it's not the fault. This is not a fault. This is a thing which is built into human beings. If you see a hot chick, it can be very distracting. And so what you're doing is you're creating an elimination of distraction. It's not the fault of women, but it's not the fault of men. It's basic ontological hardwiring, right? Men want to stick the PP in the V, right? Pretty simple. The thing is like controlling lust is one of the tenets of Christian ethics. And so, of course, inside of church, they tell men also to dress modesty. Men aren't allowed to go in all buff with tank tops on and big muscles hanging out everywhere and be distracting, right? Because that could create distraction. Some churches, women can dress like harlots too. What's your point?
That's true.
Those aren't real churches. What I'm saying to you, hang on, Jeff, I'm almost done. What I'm saying to you is that just like with men aren't allowed to go in and be distracting to women who are practicing the faith. Women aren't allowed to do it either. The guidelines are completely, from your view, would be egalitarianism. Neither of you can do this. Neither one of you.
And I agree. But again, you're putting words in my mouth is the way I hear, because I'm not saying, I didn't talk anything about how women dress in church. I talked about you telling them they can't speak in church. Yeah. I talked about, let me finish, please. I talked about you telling them that they have to be staying at home. I talked about you telling them that they can't, I'm saying I'm talking about the Bible, that they can't have any authority over men. I'm talking about Paul saying that it wasn't the man that sinned, it was the woman. These are the things I'm talking about, not the silliness. Okay. I've been in Pentecostal. Let me finish. I've been in Pentecostal churches, and it's so stupid. The skirt's too high, the hair's too low. I agree with you. No, we're talking about treating women like they're second-class citizens. I think that's wrong. I don't know why ladies put up with it.
Well, let's dive into this. First of all, when you're discussing this, you say, well, I don't understand. Women are second-class. They're not treated as second-class citizens. They're treated according to the ontological nature of which women have, and the same with men. Men have a requirement and duty in society to sacrifice. You know how they do that, Jeff? They go die in foreign wars. They get blown to smithereens. They fight on the front lines. Women can't do any of that. Women can't really do law enforcement roles. Women can't really do the role of taking care of prison inmates en masse. Men have to make all of those duties and all those sacrifices. So you know what, Jeff? They get the big fucking piece of chicken, Jeff. That's how it works. They get the big piece of chicken because they do the lion's share of the things that make you die. So they get that's not women being second-class citizens. That's men being second-class citizens, Jeff. It's us adhering to our duties to women. It's just that you give women an out and say you have no duty. Biblically, this is what is found actually in Christianity, that men have a higher duty and that we should not fall susceptible to women, much like Adam did to Eve. We have a higher duty to women, and that what we do is we protect women from themselves and we protect them from evil men. We do both of those things. Women are incapable of doing either of those things by your own admission.
Whose own admission?
Yours. You just said women can't do any of these things. You can't fight in the front line. They can't be the cops. They can't do these things.
I said it's best for women not to be in combat, to be cops. If I'm in a burning fire, I want Alex Stein, a big strapping man, pulling me out. I don't want a girl come pulling me out.
Yeah.
All I said, and again, you're trying to twist my words, was it is wrong, in my opinion, and I don't know why ladies go to places and give money that say you can't talk, you can't work, you can't have authority, and you are supposed to be in the kitchen, barefoot, pregnant, and making a sandwich.
None of that's ever said anywhere in the Bible. You're just straw manning it. Completely straw manning it. I can show
you exactly where it
says. Show me. Bible. Show me where it says women are to be barefoot in the kitchen, pregnant in the Bible anywhere. Lying Jeff.
Really? Okay, so we're going to go that. You're going to do that.
Well, the thing is like, just if you're going to say, if you're going to make this claim, you're going to be like, what's really going on here is they want you pregnant in the kitchen, barefoot, making a sandwich. That is not biblical ethics. Has nothing to do with biblical ethics. All biblical ethics is trying to show you is that due to the ontology, the distinct being difference between men and women, the natural roles which men gravitate towards versus women are going to be set in a patriarchal sense always, no matter what. And it's because men are in the position to do things women cannot do. And the reverse is not true other than what? Pregnancy. And what does the Bible say? Through childbirth, that's how women are saved. That's one of the big paths to salvation for women is through childbirth. So
what are they saved from, Andrew?
What there's it's a leading to Jesus Christ for the remission of sin.
And that's for being pregnant.
It's not the being pregnant that does that. It's the being pregnant is a natural occurrence that leads you to the belief of a higher like authority, higher power, something. All it's saying is this is a good way to start you on the path towards the belief in Jesus Christ. That's what it means. And so when you follow these footsteps, when you're talking about ontology, men's being, women's being. Like you said, you want a man to pull you out of a fire. Why? Because you know a general rule, which is that men generally are a lot stronger than women. And so Absolutely. If you have to take the gamble, you want a man to come in and pull your ass out. Yeah, it's the exchange for that in societies. Men get the big piece of chicken. You can't give them the duty absent the responsibility. That doesn't make women second-class citizens, Jeff.
Does the Bible say that women have to shut up in church? Yes or no?
Yeah, they have to be silent in church. Okay. But hang on, what's the qualifier? What's the qualifier? The qualifier is if you want correction, talk and speak to your husband, right?
Ask him
and ask your husband about it. The husband, who's then the head of the household, will discuss it with you. They can then go to clergy and say, hey, there's a problem, there's an issue, this and that. Why? Well, because it's unbecoming for women to be in spaces with men by themselves. Even now, you could easily make the argument that it's actually dangerous for women to approach in a vulnerable sense many men who are in positions of authority, absent their protector, in this case, their husband. That makes complete sense, Jeff.
I just asked you a yes or no question, and I got a 4-minute answer.
I gave you a yes with a qualifier. So yes, and then I qualified the yes with the explanation.
The Bible does say that women should shut up in church, yes?
It says that a woman should be silent, right? And if she wants to clarification or correction to go to her husband. So no, it says be silent. Yes, it tells them that they must be silent in church. So yes, and then the qualifier of why that is. What's wrong with that?
It said ask your husband at home.
Yeah, ask your husband at
church.
Home.
Yes.
Well, now we're talking about the ethics of the religion, though. Whether it's okay for women to have to be quiet in church.
It matters because these are the things in which he considers to be truth claims of oppression, things like this. It does matter.
Nobody said anything about oppression.
I would like to try to talk about.
You said it's oppressive to women.
No, I didn't. You said that
multiple times.
No, I didn't.
Alex, am I crazy?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he said that it's oppressive to women.
You know, well, Alex, I thought this was a discussion, not a discourse from Andrew.
No, but Andrew has been talking a lot, but I'm saying I do think that we're getting a little off the rails. But yes, Jeff was both. You guys kind of both agreed because Andrew agreed and said there's a caveat that yes, they can't talk. And then you agreed that women are stronger and they have different roles. So we're kind of just at a standstill on whether you agree that the faith is nice to women or Andrew says that that. So that's not really debating Christianity. I would like to talk more about the origins of Christianity and Constantine and the books of the Bible. I don't know, something a little more not just how we feel about Christianity, whether it's wrong or good or bad, or whether he believes in a religion that you consider bad, because I consider Christianity good, but that's not important. What I'm saying is, well, how can we prove that Christianity is true and real, that Christ existed, that
I think that one of the primary claims needs to revolve around Jesus Christ and the existence of Jesus. This seems to be one of the pinnacle. This seems to be one of the pinnacle claims that Jeff makes, and I'm fine diving into this. I have no problem with that, but just understand that if then this happens in all debates. If there's tangential complaints which happen, and in this case there is one, the Bible is oppressive, or this or that, or there's other claims that Jeff has made about this, then yeah, if it's tangential to it but related to it, they're going to get brought up likely. So yes, I'm happy to dive into Jeff. Why don't you tell the audience, right, what most biblical scholars' consensus is on if Jesus Christ was a living person or not?
Well, I'm not here to take orders from you, Andrew.
That's true.
To get back to where Alex was saying, let's talk about Christianity. Okay. I'm just trying to keep score. So you're saying, if I understand correctly, that faith in the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ, according to Romans 10:9 and 10, in your view, is not sufficient for salvation. Yes.
Yeah, I don't make the Eastern Orthodox don't make salvific claims. What I'm telling you is that the faith itself, right, is not saying the determination of a simple mind state. The way you're framing it, I would say, is false.
Okay.
That it is not a mind state itself. No.
Okay. So let's talk about Christianity. Is it true that you would believe that outside of your church there is no salvation?
No, I just got done telling you our church does not make salvific claims. So the way that we would view this, right? Again, I'm not a speaker for
call people fake Christians.
I'm going to tell you. Yeah, I'll explain. Okay. There are some people who can be so over the top about the things that they believe that it is obvious. It's just obvious to the beholder, regardless of denomination, regardless of anything, that they're not actually Christians. I don't even think that that's in dispute here. However, when we were talking about the Eastern Orthodox view of it, and again, I'm a layman, right? I don't have the authority of the church to teach, and I'm just giving you my understanding. Okay. From the layman's understanding, from my understanding, we're not to make salvific claims. The reason we're not to make salvific claims is because we don't know the mind of God. We're not going to be arrogant enough to know the mind of God. The way that the church explained it to me, and the way that it explains it to, as far as I know, to everybody, is that you can, some people have the truth. The truth is written on their heart, right? But you can't get the fullness of the truth absent the Orthodox Church. It's not to say people outside the Orthodox Church cannot receive salvation. We can't make those claims. Just to say that absent the fullness, the likelihood of it decreases.
Well, can you explain to me then why in the Jerusalem Council of 1672, they clearly stated that it is impossible to be saved outside of the Orthodox Church?
Yeah. So the thing is like, it depends on when you're talking about these councils. Okay. And I'm not an expert on every single council which has ever occurred. Okay.
There's only 7 of them.
I'm not a bit. Yeah, that's a lot, dude. Okay. First of all, that's a lot. And second of all, I'm not a scholar on each and every individual decree or things like that. For things like that, you'd want a person who was more of a scholar like Jay Dyer to dive in to the hyper.
Jay Dyer's been running hang on, bro.
Just chill out. For the hyper,
I'm here, Jay Dyer.
For the hyper specificity, right, of the claims of the various councils, there's other people who would be better at addressing those than myself.
Andrew, I think you're being dishonest. I think you know damn good and well that your church believes that you can't get saved unless you belong to your church. I think you know it and you won't say it.
Well, I think Andrew's being honest. That,
listen, man.
They don't make
listen, nobody would be happier to tell you, Jeff, that you're going straight to hell right this second than me. I would love to do that.
No, the thing I love about your church is you
don't that much, Andrew. Time out. You don't want him to go to hell. You know.
Well, I don't mind their hell. Their hell just says that you'll be separated from God, and there's nothing I'd love more than separation from the Bible, God, Alex Stein. I'd love it. But my
you are going to hell.
If you're
I want to address this. Let
me ask this one thing, Alex.
Well,
let him ask. Let him ask.
Okay, all right.
Andrew brought up hell.
Yeah.
And in the Eastern Orthodox definition of hell is separation from God.
Yeah.
How can you
it's separation from the energies of God.
How can you be separated from an omnipresent God?
What do you mean?
Well, there
Why?
could be a zone of
How
that.
can you be separated by an omnipresent
Yeah.
God?
Do you understand that there's an energy and essence distinction? So right
Do you
I
now,
feel like Jeff, that now we're
Well,
getting in the
I'm
woods
I'm
because
trying to explain it to you. I'll explain it
well,
to
I'm
you.
on your side, Andrew. I think that
Yeah,
there, even if
there's
you're
a
omnipresent, there can be a region that you don't go to, maybe on purpose. He chooses not. I mean, I
no,
think
no,
I don't know what
no.
Andrew's
The
going to say.
person chooses. The person is choosing to separate themselves from the energies of God. The person is.
Okay,
Well,
I can take that.
But Jeff, I want to go to this point because this was a pretty bold statement, and you kind of, just nobody really gave any rebuttal. Andrew,
Okay.
you accused Jeffrey of being anti-Christian because he's anti-Semitic, and you didn't say it in that terms, but you did insinuate that. So, are you, Jeff?
I mean, look, I'm not
it-
here. Listen. I'm not here to be like to get off into the like Juiceburg territory.
Yeah,
or
I don't
this
want
and
to
that.
because we can't.
But
We
what-
can't on
what-
YouTube.
But you said it. You threw
What
it
I've
out there.
noted, what I've noted
You
is
make
that
you make a claim against me. Now you want
what
to
I've
back
noted,
No,
I'm
I
not
wanna be
backing
nice.
away. Jeff,
Called
I'm
me
not
an
gonna.
anti-Semite.
Jeff,
Well, we're
I'm
on
not backing
YouTube,
away.
Jeff. Look, you know we're on
Yeah,
YouTube.
I'm not backing
so
away
be
from it,
very
Jeff.
Careful, Jeff.
Sounds
when
like
it
you
comes to
are.
anything.
I'm just trying to keep it TOS. Drop it to Rumble. Tell you exactly what I
That's what I'm
think.
saying,
Well,
Jeff.
the thing
You
is,
know we have to be kind of
Yeah,
cool.
the thing
in
is-
terms
I
of
understand.
service,
It's like
you know?
here, I'll make it super easy for you, Jeff. Okay. I think
Thank you,
that
Greg.
the reason that you hate Christianity is because, like Adam Green, you believe it's a Jewish conspiracy in order to oppress white people.
Other
And
words,
that-
I don't
hang
hate.
on, bro. Can I finish?
Well,
you
you're
just said,
making-
Andrew, you got to back away from the
Well,
claim. You
let's
want
see
to
what
let me
Andrew-
make the claim.
I don't hate
you need to take over. You're gonna be able to talk after this because
Okay.
Jeff, you keep asking questions. That's why Andrew's talking so much. So maybe less questions and more of your opinion. But Andrew, please state what you want to state.
Yeah, I'm literally giving you your chance for cross-examination. You cut me off every time I try to start to give you the answer. So
I'll make
think
it, Andrew, let's both not
right
cut
there.
each
You
other
did cut him
How
off
about that?
again.
How about
you
that?
cut
Well, how
him
many
off
times does it cut me off?
Well, I know, but I don't want to have to mute, guys. Let's just
I
be
won't
cool.
do
We
it
don't have
anymore.
we don't have much time left. We only
all
have
right,
about,
deal. We just
little
won't cut
over
each
10
other
minutes.
off for the rest of the debate. How about that? All right. So anyway, so back to this. I'll just tell you what I think based on what I've watched of even your recent content, even going back just 4 months ago to your top 10 reasons I don't believe in Jesus. You outline in that there is a Jewish conspiracy. The Jewish conspiracy is designed specifically to eradicate white people. That is what you believe.
No, it's not what I believe.
Okay, well then can you explain what you meant when you say white meat and these people are trying to completely destroy white meat? And then I can give you the timestamp.
No, you didn't listen very
I'm going to give you the timestamps. Hang on, let me give you the timestamp.
You didn't listen well, Andrew.
43-minute mark. Thank God we saved the white race, says Jeff Daugherty. Okay, 43-minute mark of your top 10 reasons why you don't like Christianity. I made sure to mark this, Jeff. 43 minutes. Anybody can go look. Thank God we saved the white race, says Jeff. And Jeff says, thank God for us because we saved it. And thank God for some of our collaborators because we saved it. You literally thank yourself for saving the white race, Jeff. I don't know how you walk away from that one.
I appreciate you, Jeff, for saving us. Thank you.
Number one, that's not what I said. And what I said was that I'm white. I don't know if you notice. I love my race. And I don't know if you notice, Coke is saying be less white. DEI's crushing white people. You can't get hired as a firefighter if you're white. I don't have to go into this. I love my race. I love the white race. I'm here to optimize my race. I also love the black race, the brown race, the yellow race, the red race. I don't think Christianity is a religion for any of those people. And I'm encouraging people to go back to their indigenous gods and to walk away from the Judeo-Christian God, because he's not the God of the white man, the black man, the brown man, the yellow man, or the red man. And if my work can help some people realize that, then all of the individual races can be optimized, which will optimize the whole human race.
This is great. I'm glad to get into this. So the idea here of all of Western and Eastern Europe, right? How long has it been under the dominion of the non-pagan gods? It's been under the dominion for 2,000 years. I mean, it's literally, and by the way, it's going to be under the dominion for 1,000 more years. Christianity is the white man's religion, whether you like it or not. And it has been, it has been for a long time. And the pagan Nordic religions are dead. They don't pass muster. And why would you want them to? Why would you want people to go back and worship Loki, turned into a horse and fucked another horse, Jeff, and turned into a trans person in order to have sex with men? Why would you want them to go worship those gods? How's that helpful to the white race?
First of all, as I have a minor degree in anthropology, and human culture with the ability, the sophistication to support religious thought, it's been around for about 50,000 years, give or take. Christianity at best has been around for 2,000 years. So for 48,000 years, heathens built great civilizations, built great culture, gave great literature, gave great medicine, gave great moral thoughts and doctrines.
Which ones?
Well, but there were smart people before.
No, here's the thing. Here's the actual truth. And Mr. Anthropologist
interrupted me.
Mr. Anthropologist,
you did interrupt.
Go ahead, finish, Jeff. Go ahead.
Now I forgot what I was saying.
Well, he lost his train of thought. You were talking about.
You were saying great morals. They gave us great morals, great civilizations. That's where
they
you were
probably
going.
had some okay morals. I mean, there's
here's the actual truth. In
can I finish my statement?
Okay, go ahead.
And Rome ruled the entire world for over 1,000 years, and we had Pax Romana, a peaceful world. It wasn't until Christianity reared its ugly head in the Roman Empire, and then the Roman army marched out and systematically, ethnically cleansed and genocided every single pagan population with the Roman short sword. Either you convert or you die. What a religion. You got to threaten people with death to get them. And listen, when I started my work 15 years ago, over 70% of people in America said that they were Christian. Now, less than 50 do. I won't take credit for all of it, but I'm taking credit for some of it. Now, 40% of them are these radical Christian nationalists, radical Christian identities. And if you think pagans are gone, baby, and you want to battle with us, you better be careful what you ask for.
Okay, well, I'm asking for it, Jeff, so let's get into this. So first of all, when you're talking about paganism, paganism was so great. The people were crucifying everybody. Oh, they were fantastic. They would murder children. They didn't give a shit, Jeff. They didn't care. It's in their literature. When you're talking about Rome had upheaval after upheaval after upheaval all the time. It was inconsistent upheaval like most of the ancient world. Also, as an anthropologist, you should know, written history only started about 10,000 years ago. We don't really have anything from before that. We have light anthropological evidence of some civilizations. We don't even know how advanced they were. We have no clue, right? Written history didn't even start until 10,000 years ago. Most of the civilizations from pagans, we don't even know what they believed, Jeff. Why don't you tell people that? How it is that we didn't really even know. Like 10,000 years ago, you don't even know what people were worshiping. You have no clue. And especially depending on region and demographic, you especially have no clue. So what happens here is that the few remnants which have remained after the burning of the library at Alexandria, there's not that much. Okay, there's not that much. No, not by Christians. Yes, okay, so listen, after the burning of the library at Alexandria, there's not much. Okay, there was not much left as far as the barbarian records. Now, we don't even know how much was actually we don't even know how much was actually there. This is all speculation. So, like, for instance, if I asked you, what did they worship in ancient China 9,500 years ago in, the Sun province? You couldn't tell me that shit because we don't know, Jeff.
I don't care. I'm not from there. But it's funny that the Library of Alexandria contained all of the great records of all of the great pagan civilizations. And right after they freaking killed Hypatia like a bunch of animals, then they went and burned down the library. What a coincidence. They burned down the library of all our stuff. And now you say we're not around anymore because you killed us. And those atrocities you talk about, they were written by Christian people about our people, and they're not only lies, but damn lies.
Yeah. Okay, Jeff. So the thing is like, this is great speculation. but you don't have the requisite knowledge to make these bold claims about which gods people should even go back to, because we don't really know that much. In fact, the Bible is one of the better sources for how pagans used to worship. That's a pretty good source for that. You know what's
So
not
our
great?
enemies give a good
You know
source.
what's not? Well, it's better. What are your sources, Jeff? Like ancient fragments that you're speculating on? Like the oldest thing you can, the oldest thing you have. We don't even know what the pyramids were. We don't even know.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying, Andrew, I think we can agree that they weren't as dumb. Like, modern day, they want to say the civilizations before us were just idiots and, lived out in a cave. I think they were a little more advanced than we give them credit for.
Well, Andrew just asked me, how do I know?
Yeah, how do you know?
Well, here's the big difference between me and you, Andrew, I think. You believe in revelatory knowledge, church tradition of the fathers. Why you call people father when Jesus said, don't call anybody on earth your father. But we don't believe in revelational knowledge. We believe our gods are way bigger than a book. We don't listen to men in dresses to tell us what to believe. We look into our own hearts. We look into our own souls. We listen for the call of the blood. And we get our gods.
You listen to the call of the blood, Jeff?
Okay, well, let him finish, Andrew. Let him finish.
Your gods, because you listen to the call of the blood.
You see what he does?
Hey,
he won't let me finish because he knows I'm laying down.
Finish, bro. Finish.
You're mocking him, Andrew.
Okay, that was really funny, though. The call of the blood was funny.
He's got style and pizzazz. We're only so lucky that he's has
okay, I just thought that was funny. Go ahead, Jeff.
You have to go to the pages of a dusty book written by 66 people that happen to be Jewish, by the way. You have to listen.
That is true, though. It was written by Jewish people. But go ahead.
You have to listen to men in dresses. We go straight to the source. That's
which is the call of the blood. What is the call of the blood, Jeff?
Well, if you ever felt it, brother, you'd know it.
That doesn't answer my question. What is it?
Also,
what's the Holy Ghost?
I've been answering your questions.
I'll be glad to help. I'll be glad to.
In fact, yeah, I've been answering them.
Well, the Bible does, even though it's a, I kind of agree with the Orthodox that lay people shouldn't read the Bible, that you should have a little bit of knowledge before you start reading it, because the Bible is very, very tricky. It's actually a book that's full of disclosure that tells us what they're doing to us. And once you get to a place of maturity, you can read it. So here's what it is. You know how the Bible says the life is in the blood? That's kind of what the call of the blood is. It's about you knowing that you've been communicated with by the Most High. You've been communicated with by a deity. And so we know. Will you please let me finish?
It's just revelation, right?
No, it's not revelation. It's the opposite of revelation. It's realization. It's our gods and the Most High God talking to us individually. And it's the call of the blood. It's like, what's chocolate? Well, you don't know it until you taste it, Andrew. And that's the call of the blood. You knowing that divinity has talked to you, and you don't have to go through any priest. You don't have to ask Mary. You just go straight to the source.
It's really weird, Jeff. It sounds a lot like divine revelation that you're just calling something about the blood. Oh, my blood lets me communicate. It's a DNA sequence in my body that allows God to beam direct thoughts into my brain. I communicate with him. Oh, gee, Jeff, like divine revelation, Jeff? Really? That's what. So hang on. Here's the thing. That's fair. We could just say that Jeff has his own version of pagan divine revelation. If that's the case, though, how in the world can you ever negate anybody else's divine revelation when they say God has spoken to them? And the God that has spoken to them is the Almighty God, the same one that the Jews worship and that Jesus Christ is. If they make that claim, how can you refute it except if they say that's the call in their blood? Like, how can you refute that?
Now, I'm going to answer it briefly, but I got more to say, so don't jump in.
All right.
That's a great question. Why, number one, why do you feel the need to mock my faith? Number two, why would I feel the need to question anybody else's faith? See, that it wasn't until Christianity came along where this thing of proselytizing started and my God's better than your God. I don't care who people worship. I don't care about their religion. It's just like homosexuality. If you're gay and you're gay inside your house, I don't mind. It's bad for civilization. It doesn't help us procreate. but I'm not going to make a law against gay people. But if you're walking down Main Street with assless chaps and a hard-on in front of children, then I have a problem with it. So we don't care about other people's gods. We would coexist with the Christians if we could, but we can't because you want to kill us because we don't believe in your God.
Yeah, there's a problem, though. You have a huge problem with this. So
What's
if
that?
the idea is, Jeff says, yeah, we believe in divine revelation just like you, the call of the
No, I
blood.
didn't say that.
Okay, just for the sake of argument, you said even if it were the case, right, that I don't care what anybody's religion is. It's a great question, Andrew, that you're asking about divine revelation here. Here's the thing, whatever the call of the blood is, I'll call it divine revelation for the sake of the argument here.
Okay.
Divine
fair.
revelation from into Jeff's brain, from whatever Jeff's God is. He says that's fine. All right. It's the Christians who want to oppress the other religions, and otherwise we would just have like this live and let live, bruh.
Thank you for stating that. Very well stated.
But you have a problem here with that, Jeff, which is that all of society is downstream of ethics, and ethics is informed by religion. So religion informs society, society informs the political class, meaning that the ethical framework of which your society operates based around your religion is going to be a determining factor, which means it makes it people's business. It makes it our business and your business if there's Muslim terrorists, Jeff. It makes it your business if there's AIPAC who's trying to influence through their religious dogma our politicians, Jeff. Absolutely. It is our business. Now, Christian ethics, I'm going to argue, is a fine and far superior form of ethical framework than any other which exists on planet Earth, and that you in modernity have stolen it and apply it in a way that it should never be applied to pagan ethics. It doesn't even make sense. Pagans did blood sacrifice all the time.
No,
they did they did. No. In fact, they did it with bones. They did it with all sorts of different things. And the historic record has great.
You guys chop up and send to your churches?
No, we never did bones. We never. No, Jews didn't sacrifice the bones.
Your churches don't have bone relics.
They didn't. No, bone relics is different than sacrifice. Pay attention. Really? Talking about sacrifice here. No, the Jews didn't sacrifice the bones. The pagans did. Okay, they sacrificed the bones. They burned the bones to their gods. Yes, that's what they were talking about. Levitical law.
If we could just do a biblical based thing, I can show you where the Jews sacrifice. And I agree with you, Andrew. But the problem here is that Christians won't just live and let live. I got invited to speak at a America First rally. Stu Peters was there. I spoke, and then Stu Peters gets up on the platform. There's about 400 people there. About 50 of us weren't Christians. If you don't believe in Jesus, you can go straight to hell. I tried to work with Christians, but if we don't worship Jesus, you don't work with us. And if we tried to go into battle with you, you'd shoot us in the back. That's
true. And I'm gonna give you some leeway here, but let me explain why that's true. Okay. And I think you're gonna have to agree with me here. We have different sets of ethical frameworks.
I wish you could convert me, and then I could get back to
we have a different set of ethical frameworks. Okay, I'll give you the same argument I gave to Adam Green. Okay, and I want an actual answer to it. Green couldn't give me one. Perhaps you can.
I will.
Let us pretend for a moment that the society and Christian ethics disappeared. What ethical framework would you put in place in lieu of Christianity, which would be superior? What?
Andrew, are you saying that before Christianity came, there was no ethics?
I'm asking you a question.
I'm saying if Christianity died out tomorrow, we'd just go back to what we did. I say for 48,000 years before Christianity showed up.
Please repeat my question.
Again, you cut me off. We can either
Please repeat my question. You're not answering my question. My question was, if Christian ethics disappeared, then answer it.
Let me.
That's pretty cool. Yeah,
if Christianity disappeared tomorrow, we could simply go back to the beautiful, powerful, high ethics that we had before Christianity ever existed.
What were they?
What do you mean, what were they?
Well, so yes, I have. This is what I'm saying. So the ethical framework Jeff would use for all of Western society to replace Christian ethics would be the ethical framework of blank what?
It would be the ethical framework. I call it loosely the ethical framework of the deist.
What?
And like the Bible,
that's
Well,
again,
Andrew, I'm not even trying to take Jeff's side, but I think we could all agree that society would have some sort of ethical norms that people would agree to, right? I mean,
Yeah, but we're talking about the superiority.
You shouldn't steal, you shouldn't murder.
Let me get you to understand the track here. So the idea here is Jeff's upset. He says we can't work with Christians; they'll shoot us in the back. I agree with Jeff. We will, right? In a second, right? But my counterclaim is because we have different normative ethical frameworks. The reason we do is because Christian ethics, I believe we can make a case is superior to all other ethical systems on planet Earth right now. All of them. Every single one of them, including Jeff's own ethical frameworks, which I guarantee you follow a lot more closely with Christian ethics than they do with any pagan ethical framework in existence today. I guarantee it. So the thing is like, this is what the crux of the of this argument now is Jeff, if Christian ethics is going to get replaced, you want to replace it with deism. But under deism, things like abortion are fine. Under deism, things like this there's nothing wrong with it. Eugenics is fine. All of those things are fine under deism. All of them.
Your fallacy is that you want to state that there was no ethics before Christianity.
No,
I say that's nonsense.
I never said that, Jeff.
Well, you just said, and in fact, most of the ethics that you call Christian ethics were stolen from our people, just like your holidays. We had a beautiful society that basically, and you asked me this question, I tried to answer it, but you cut me off. It would be going back to the place where we all lived under our fig tree, did what was right in our own eyes, and left each other the hell alone. We might trade with each other every now and then. If you guys start coming over and stealing our women and raping our cattle, we might have to have a little discussion, but everybody take care of their own business. Everybody leave each other alone, and everybody just get along. It's just that simple. And that's not Christian. That's not pagan. That's just human.
Yeah. So the thing is like you very non-skillfully avoided answering to the actual question. So let me try this again.
Try not cutting me off 6 times.
I didn't cut you off. I let you go through the whole thing. I didn't say a word. So the thing is like I just wanted, because you weren't answering and you still didn't. So what I'm asking you is this. There should be, if you were going, because you made some pretty bold statements here. First, you said I was making a fallacy, and the fallacy is I pretend there's no ethics before Christian ethics. Not only is that not true, I'm claiming right now, of course there are. Of course, there's tons of different ethical traditions which you can appeal to. Tons and tons of ethical traditions you can appeal to. An innumerable amount, perhaps. Okay. From Native Americans to Aboriginals to whoever the fuck you want to point to for whatever their ethical traditions are, whatever their ethical statements are, you can appeal to any of them that you want. I'm just asking you, which one is superior for the Western world over Christian ethics and why?
I think it'd be easier.
That's not really on the topic, but if you want to just answer real quick, and then we're going to get into chats here. So if you want to answer that, and then we can kind of move on.
I think I answered it. We would just go back to doing what we did before Christians ethnically cleansed and genocided us. Everything was just fine. We had a beautiful, peaceful world for the most part. And these things that he says about pagans did this, pagans did that, these are Christian writers talking about us. And of course, they're not going to be fair. So it's very simple. We return to the ethics that we had before Christianity. I'm sorry if you can't wrap your mind around that, Andrew. Maybe that's too big of a concept because there's not a book telling you what to do. But that's the way that people that want to live divine, sovereign, and free think.
Yeah, there would be a book telling you what to do. It would be a book of laws, and those laws would be based on whatever these ethics were. There would definitely be books telling you what to do. Jeff,
you know what I meant about a book.
And two, just so you understand. No, I don't. And
the Bible.
Just so you understand, whatever this ethical system is, you still haven't explained how it would be superior to Christian ethics. That's what I'm looking for.
What's that opinion, Andrew? In my opinion, it would be superior. In your opinion, it won't.
Yeah, why?
That's fine.
Yeah, but why would it be? Why would it be, in Jeff's opinion, superior? Why?
Because I wouldn't have somebody telling me what I had to do, when I had to do, where I had to do, who I had to worship, that I had to eat somebody's flesh and drink somebody's blood, or I had no life in me.
Yes,
I
you
got
would,
to live
Jeff. You would have
myself.
a lawmaker. You would have a lawmaker, and the lawmaker would give you laws. Those laws would be informed by the ethical framework of the deities that you worshipped. And if you went counter to those deities, you didn't do the sacrifice in the right way, you didn't do the right religious, sacraments to whatever this deity was, like Paul talked about constantly, you could possibly be killed or punitively punished or any number of different things. This idea that you have that, oh, I could have a deity. Okay, we could have a whole deity set, which our ethics are informed from, some pagan gods or something like this. And if that's widespread in society, now there's no normative rules of any kind that comes from those deities is fucking insane. No culture ever in history has had that, ever. Their lawmakers always are informed by the deities that they worship and the ethics of the deities that they worship. Period.
You know what? It probably the basic disagreement we have here is that I believe that humans are born inherently divine, sovereign, and free. We don't have original sin. We got the spark of divine within. And I guess I have a whole lot more belief and confidence in humanity to bind together and do what's right and stand against the few retards that want to wreck everything than you do.
Well, hang on, Jeff. Just so you know, the Eastern Orthodox, we don't believe in original sin.
I understand that, but most Christians do.
We don't. That's not what we believe. Okay, so you're attacking something that's not even within the purview.
Why
of my
do you have to
belief
take
structure.
On you? I was talking in general
because
terms.
you're debating with me.
You asked.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. We are debating him.
You asked.
All right, well, let's get to these chats now. $20. Jesus loves you, Jeffrey. Ezekiel 33:11. 2
No, he
Peter
doesn't.
3:9 says that if it is not God's desire for wicked people to go to hell, but for them to turn from their ways and live. He saved them from witchcraft. He loves us so much. What do you think about that, Jeff?
Well, I would say to Haim, if that's their name, if God loves you so much, why does the Bible say that the road to salvation is very narrow and very few enter, and the road to damnation is very wide and many enter there? So if God loves you so much, why is he going to send in normal? And I really appreciate the Orthodox view on hell. I think it's very, very, it's much more humane. Just being cut off from God, I think it's probably closer to right. But 95% of humanity believes that God is going to throw people that don't agree with him into a lake of fire, and they're going to burn not just for a year, a week, a month, but forever. So, Haim, I would ask you, if God really loved people, would he throw them into a lake of fire?
Do you have children, right, Mr. Daugherty?
I
don't
do,
want to get
Mr.
too personal.
Wilson. I do. I agree.
Okay, I do too.
Mhm.
And in the Eastern Orthodox view, as you know, the idea that you self-impose hell on, you put it on yourself by cutting yourself from God's energies. This is hell. You can even experience this here on earth. You can experience this kind of hell.
And
isn't it the case with children that oftentimes they will cut themselves off from their father, right? And they have to experience the consequences of that action in order for them to learn how to reconcile with their father. This is the most common story told in humanity. The idea of the wayward son.
The product.
You're talking biblically. I'm just talking about in humanity. The idea of the wayward son is an old story. Okay. Yeah. So in Christianity, the answer to it is the prodigal son. So how do you deal with that? How do you deal with that when the reconciliation happens? We deal with it through forgiveness, through acceptance, through the understanding of now that there has been a reconciliation and you have cast off your evil ways, we are here for you. Right. And what system could you possibly have a more ethical makeup than that? What?
Andrew, just be quiet and let me agree with you for a minute. I've said that the Orthodox understanding of hell is beautiful, it's elegant, it's humane, and it's probably the best, without a doubt, the best treatment of eternal punishment that I've ever seen. And if Christianity was true, I don't believe it is. But even in my heathen view, if you reject God, then you're going to be cut off from his presence. Just like if my son rejected me, I'd cut him off of my presence for a time. But never would I throw him in a lake of fire. So I agree with you. I salute you. I give you and your faith kudos for creating a system that's much more.
But that's original Christianity. You realize that? Like the schism happened. The schism happened between Orthodoxy and Catholicism, and it happened because of essentially the declaration of a pope. So the thing is like they schismed away from the original church. This was always the original church teaching. Why don't you just come home? Your blood should call you home. That's
It
your
already
home.
has, Andrew.
My
home.
blood,
my
blood speaks a different language.
Why would I go back? I'm going back to the original home, right where our people were before we were ethnically cleansed and genocided by Christianity. That's the home where I'm going to. I don't want to go back to the home that butchered my people.
Do you know how many times pagans engaged in localized genocides of all sorts? Not only that, Jeff, but even among Native Americans, as a reference, we can look at other tribes who had other kind of hedonistic sets, or they had only naturalist sets, or various ethical systems which they abided. The warfare was endless between barbarian tribes. Rome documented there was endless warfare between various tribes. The Picts were often fighting with the Britannians. The Britannians were also often fighting with this group, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like, this was not, even the Nordic nations, they were always fighting among, and that was well documented. The Nords weren't even considered white by our original founders. They didn't even they considered the Nordics to be like lesser than them, lesser than the Western Europeans. They considered them scum. They didn't want them here. And the Nordics themselves were constantly in an internal fight over land all the time. Iceland was discovered getting away from the consistent internal warfare of this. So it's like, no, these things did not isolate people from warfare, just the opposite. It didn't do anything to curtail any of that, man.
Andrew, thanks for having me on your show, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I know.
All you're doing is telling me
Andrew,
what Christians say about our people, none of which is true.
No. The Nordic stuff you can't.
Let's get back to another question.
Wait,
let's get back to this. No, hey, I want to ask this question though, because you guys have talked about paganism, and let's talk. And I tried to ask this earlier about Constantine's influence on the Bible and Christianity. I think that is important, and that's a topic that we did not talk about. So
absolutely.
I guess the question.
Let's do a round two. We can do a round two.
Well, did we get into Constantine? We've talked about paganism, but that's when the switch went from paganism to a Christian society.
Officially, right? Officially. I think we both agree that Constantine not good, right, Andrew?
No, I don't think Constantine wasn't good.
Oh, okay. Well, I obviously think that he was not good because he made it. You know, he's the one that made it official Christian Rome policy to go ahead and eradicate everybody that doesn't believe like they do, and I don't want to live in a world like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think you do, though. Like, why would you not want to live in a world where evil people were persecuted? Like, what's actually wrong with that? Even from your view, like, if there's evil people in the world, we already
did that in our world, Andrew. We don't need.
No, we haven't done that in our world. You're saying that we have less evil people than ever? Because I don't think so. I don't think so.
I think Christianity has created a lot of psychopaths.
I think that
all religions have.
I think that the idea that you're going to lay psychopathy, which by the way isn't even a real DSM-5 term, right?
Well, I'm not a psychologist.
Yeah. So the thing, but laying something like psychopathy at the feet of Christians is insanity. The fact
really, when Christians say they would love to throw everybody that doesn't believe Jesus into a lake of fire, that's not psychopathic.
Oh, and when the atheistic communists go ahead and do the Holodomor and kill off like 1/3 of their population, they're all atheist secularists. Oh, hey, that had nothing to do with atheism, though, man. That had to do with something else. It had to do with a secular set of ethics. And what they did was they murdered their own people wholesale. And they started with who, Jeff? They started with the Christians. The Bolsheviks, they killed off the Christians immediately, including Tsar Nicholas. The very first thing that they did was kill off the ethical framework of the nation so they could take it over. Exactly the same thing you want to do.
That is a monstrous, diabolical statement. I never said I wanted to kill anybody. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. And you
no. Kill off the ethical framework, not the people.
I don't want to kill anything off. I don't want to kill anything off.
Do you prefer that everybody not be Christian and go back to their old gods?
I would love that.
Then that would be the death of Christianity. The entailment of that is the ethical system of Christianity is dead. It's destroyed. It's annihilated.
I wish it were, but it's not.
Yes. So I'm exactly.
I'm working towards it.
Exactly.
And
this is.
You haven't noticed your churches are empty. Your people are fleeing.
I'm glad Protestant churches are empty. Good.
They're tired of your blood magic.
I'm glad that Protestant churches are emptying. I think it's great.
And maybe they're running because even in your Orthodox circles,
The fast growing
clergy malpractice of children is exploding, even in your church.
No, it's not.
Well, that happens, but they actually say that is overly represented.
Well, first of all, hang on. Let's back up. The reason that this is overblown in the Catholic Church because Catholic priests don't get married.
It does happen, but it is a little.
Hang on. Let me finish. Catholic Church priests do not get married. The Orthodox actually prefer their priests to be married because the sexuality is no longer ambiguous. That's why the rates that these things have in the Orthodox Church very, very, very low. If you want to know, I can demonstrate it for you.
So can I.
If you look per capita in public school systems where people have to send their children, the rates are at some estimates as high as 60 times higher for children to be sexually assaulted or molested than even by a Catholic priest. So it's like, this is a secular system. Prayer is not allowed. There is no allowance whatsoever of religiosity to be demonstrated in public schools. That has done nothing to curtail this problem, Jeff. Nothing.
It's a great job of projection. Don't deal with it in your church. Talk about other people.
It is dealt with in our church. We have a zero tolerance policy for it of any kind, period.
Why is it exploding then? I've got the document.
It's not exploding. Show us the data of what explosion means.
Jeff, to be fair, it happens, and it is a thing that they cover up, but I don't think it does. It's like you act like every single church is just molesting kids. I think we can come to an agreement.
No, I think it's only about 20%, Alex. Let's say about 20%.
That's still too much. That's still too much. But
how much is too much, Alex? How much perversion?
1%.
Yeah, we should get rid of public schools then, right?
Absolutely, Andrew. We're on the same page. Let's do it.
And we should get rid of any type of after-school activity or activity where children are going to be guided mentorship, like the Boy Scouts, things like this, where you see also explosive rates of this. Because here's the truth.
I agree.
Here's the truth.
Kids on purpose.
The truth is that where kids are, there's going to be predators. Wherever kids congregate, there's going to be predators. It has nothing to do with the religious or the non-religious. We know because we have a secular system. It happens plenty. We have non-secular systems. It happens plenty. Predators go where the kids are, period. In the Catholic Church, it's been well known, and Catholic priests and whistleblowers have discussed this ad nauseum. The fact that Catholic priests cannot get married and nuns also there's that whole aspect, which is very creepy. Okay, that there's that whole thing. But the thing is like, because they can't get married, homosexuals are allowed to be very ambiguous about their sexuality. And because of that, you cannot determine easily that these people are these types of predators. Eastern Orthodoxy is completely different. Because the priests are allowed to be married, they have families, they have their own at-home watchdog group, right? The wife, the kids, there's an accountability system there, even external to the church. Of course, that works way better. Of course it does.
We're on the same page with that, Andrew.
Yeah, I think so. Well, guys, this has been a great debate. We got a bunch of super chats. We don't even have time. I'll just kind of try to put a bunch on the screens. Thank you guys so much for debating. I think that we got off the rails, but it was still a positive conversation. You guys, it doesn't seem like
I'm actually fine having a round two so we can dive deeper into Christian meaning, because I think that's what Jeff wanted to do.
Set up a round two.
But maybe I think maybe we just had to get some of this shit out of the way, right? Maybe we just had to get some of this out of the way.
Andrew, I really respect you for that. You're obviously a very smart guy. I would love to do round two. I'm probably not in your league, but I'm ready to show up and go again.
No, I'm fine. Look, I'm fine with it. There's more of this. Like you threw out the challenge, right? Of look, we're pagans. You Christians bring it on. And it's like I think you're right. I think we do need to bring it on against the pagans. I don't think that we should just kind of let you guys unchecked do this, because what's happening is, you're right, there is an ethical system which is being broken down right in front of our eyes from secularists and from modernists and from all sorts of people. And I definitely don't want your form of ethics to replace Christian ethics. So I think these debates are worthwhile and they do need to happen.
Andrew, why can't we? What I would love to see, and this is what I did when I accepted that invitation to go down with Stu Peters, I would love to see people that love America and love freedom and want to see our great nation restored. I would love for us to put religion on the shelf, go ahead and take our country back. And then once we've got our country back, then we can debate theology.
Yeah,
but you yourself said you won't do it. You'd shoot me in the back.
Yeah, but do you know why? Again, I'm just going to very quickly tell you why. When you talk about a restoration, me, the Christian nationalist, has a completely different view of
That's
what
the
you,
problem.
the libertarian, thinks of that. And you have a libertarian viewpoint. Let's not kid ourselves.
I
Okay.
wouldn't agree with that.
Maybe
but
not hard, but it's at least centrist libertarian, politically a bit, like the thing with homosexuals, this and that. What I would say very specifically is this: if you really wanted a national restoration, national identity to come back to people of the United States, you would have to go back to things like pre-women voting, for instance, so that they couldn't vote.
I'd go back to only landowners voting.
Yeah, of course. So things like that, that would be real restoration.
Let's go back to 1776 before Washington sold out before Yorktown. That's what we need, baby.
But if you can't embrace a patriarchal system, which Christianity does, it's a patristic faith and a patriarchal faith. In both cases, absent that, if you hold to the many of what modern pagans do, of this egalitarian bullshit that men and women are equal and this and that and blah 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 blah, equal how and equal why and equal where? Yeah, these are ethical frameworks.
But you're like hyper patriarchal.
Yeah, because but you should be, is what I'm saying. And so what I'm saying is that I don't want the ethical forms. Yeah, I don't want the ethical forms of what is Christian ethics, which is, in my opinion, I can argue, is the most superior ethical system on planet Earth to date ever. Nothing's ever been better.
Andrew,
should women?
I want to ask this question though: should women be able to drive, Andrew, or is that too far in your opinion?
Just no Asian women. No, I'm kidding. I'm joking. No, there's no problem. There's no problem with things like women driving, stuff like this. We're not even saying women can't work. What we're talking about is putting in a gradual system where they don't have to, where they can actually choose to be stay-at-home moms.
And why don't we reward that and incentivize that?
Exactly.
And give them financial incentive to be mothers.
These things in your brain, though, they're stolen from my view. I'm not stealing anything from yours.
Well, no, you can say that you guys are just getting to the same place but going different routes, I think.
They stole all our stuff, Alex. And
well, guys, this has been a great debate. I don't know if we convince anybody of anything. If you guys want to do a round two, I'd love to moderate a round two, maybe in a week or 2 weeks or however long. I know Andrew's busy as hell, but I would like
I have a lot of, I do have a lot of stuff going on for the next 2 weeks, but the thing is
whatever, just in a month,
I'm always going to pop on Alex Stein's channel. He's a friend of mine. I got, looks like 5.4 thousand on YouTube, somewhere around
we had 6,000, I think, on your channel at one point, and we got a bunch.
No, I think we peaked at 6.2, and then we got a bunch on Rumble too. So look, I'm happy. Go and subscribe to Alex Stein. We've been friends for like, I don't know how many years.
Forever.
Many years ago. We started chatting. I've always liked Alex. He's kind of a dumbass sometimes, but that's part of his endearment.
So are you. So let's not act like you're some brilliant guy. But I do want to say you and I are debating too on separation of church and state at a modern day debate in person. Everybody needs to go get their tickets to that in Newark, New Jersey. So that's going to be really fun. Can't wait to hang out with you and get into the weeds with that. Thank you guys for the super chats. Yeah, obviously we don't need to do this again right away, but I would like to host more debates, Andrew.
Yeah, let's do it. We'll do it in a couple of weeks.
Just consider me too for other debates, Andrew, that you might need a moderator.
The thing is too, is like, I'll come on your channel if you want to. I have no problem with that.
Yeah. You're the man, dude. All right, guys, thank you. And I am Charlie Kurt, the world's greatest college debater. You know that, Andrew. So you're fucked. You realize that. Hello, Andrew.
You're the moderator? What?
No, I'm saying when you and I debate, Charlie Kurt, my alter ego, is the world's greatest college debater.
That's true. I've heard that.
Thank you for agreeing with that. We don't have to debate on that. Our Charlie Kurt won his first debate versus Andrew Wilson. All right, guys, it's been our show. Everybody go subscribe to Jeffrey's channel. Go subscribe to Andrew. The links are in the bio. And go follow him on Twitter. Tell him how you feel. Guys, I really appreciate it. You guys kept your cool. That's not always easy to do, especially about these topics. And I know Jeff's a hot-headed guy. Andrew's a hot-headed guy. I'm a hot-headed guy. So I think we did a good job for three alpha male Chad badasses. We did a great job. That's been our show. Make sure to like, subscribe. Love you guys. Peace and good night.
Yeah, have a good